This is Bleav in Buckeyes. I'm Bryant with All-American cornerback Chimdi Chekwa. This show is brought to you guys by FanDuel. Chim, we went west, not that far, 3-hour drive to Indianapolis. We took on the Indiana Hoosiers, or should I say Kirk Cignetti's Indiana Hoosiers, and we came up a little bit. Google. He wins, and they took the Big Ten championship 13-10. How you feeling over there? Obviously, probably not the end of the world, but I don't know. Is it the end of the world for you? How are you feeling, man? What's going on?
Listen, I mean, I feel good. You know, it's just, and this is probably part of the reason why we lost. You know, like it's just hard after not being Michigan for so long, and then getting over that hump. I wanted to win the Big Ten. You know, after obviously the team wanted to win the Big Ten. They haven't been Big Ten champion for how many years?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, sounds crazy.
But man, with the playoffs coming, it's just hard to be down after one loss, even if it's in the Big Ten championship. I mean, it's not against a rival, and it's against a team. When I watched that game, Indiana came and won that game. It didn't necessarily. I know there's a lot of comparisons to how Ohio State lost to Michigan last year. It didn't feel like that to me. In terms of, I didn't feel like Ohio State just, there's some similarities, especially with the score. Right? But I think they came out there and played. I just think Indiana really played one of their better games, and you know, where we got the win. Now there's some things I am sick about. All right, and we're gonna talk more about that. But how are you feeling after this Big Ten debacle?
Yeah, man. No, so yeah, I said it last. You know, we talked about this last week, and we kind of debated a little bit, like, you know, if we lose, how much would this really hurt us in the rankings? And it kind of went the way we thought. Like, we went from 1 to 2, right? And they go from 2 to 1, and then you kind of said, like, you know, usually, you know, it really doesn't matter a ton because, you know, we know what the ultimate goal is. But I say my opinion was I wanted to win it. I wanted to just kind of stay on that high horse and feel that, you know, we are the best team in the country. We showed it literally all season. We'll take that momentum into the playoffs. But we got essentially punched in the mouth, right? Indiana came out and they played a really well game. It was very sound, all phases. You know, when things was needed, they made the plays. They took the gambles, and they won the one-on-ones that was needed for them to kind of come out as victors in the game. So obviously, a game like that means a lot more to Indiana as they continue to build their program under Kirk Cignetti. But, you know, overall, you know, I'm a Buckeye, right? We still a little bit down that, you know, the score didn't go in our favor at the end of the day. But like you said, it did kind of pick out some things very similar to last year. We lose 13-10 to Michigan. We take that momentum, we grow as a team, and we finally start clicking on all levels, and we run it through to a national championship. So I'm hoping a repeat here. We lose 13-10 in the Big Ten championship to a team that, you know, been feeling like they're the number one team in the nation, and we kind of learn, we grow in certain areas here, and we get ready to make a huge run.
But doesn't have that same impact because I just said, oh yeah, we lost a game. We wanted to win, but you still got the playoffs coming. I mean, honestly, like, does the team feel the same way? I mean, obviously they're gonna feel sick. You know, you lose a game, you feel sick, especially if you lost some matchups. Like if you made some mistakes, you're gonna watch the film, you're gonna feel sick, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just talking from a collective standpoint because what happened after the Michigan game last year was, I mean, it was such a low moment. They had to build themselves back up. They had to shut the doors, have a kind of an open, honest meeting. They probably cussed each other out, probably cried a little bit, right? And then they got back to and then and then they got to a point where it's like, okay, we're gonna go on this run, and the team comes together. You hope that that's the same type of, you know, kind of galvanizing moment that comes from this game. And
I think it will be though. Because I gotta say this, like, you know how it is. Like in life in general, with success brings complacency, right? So if you've been doing something wrong all year, and the coach keep watching this, like, hey, you need to work on this thing. Hey, you need to take this step here. You're not taking it, but you keep winning the game. You kind of like in the back of your head, you kind of, I get it when I need to get it. You know what I mean? But now you don't actually lost the game. So now that whatever coach has been telling you, Coach Day, your position coach, been telling you, means a little bit more, in my opinion, at this point, because now you done actually lost one. It actually came across, and we didn't get the plays needed to get it done.
Yeah, that's 100%. And as a corner, corners in general, you carry a level of confidence because that's just how you have to live. I remember our senior year before we lost to Wisconsin, I didn't think anybody could beat us. I know, and coaches would try to get us prepared for the game and say, "Hey, we gotta be, these guys are for real." And I'd be like, "Come on, coach, what you talking about, man? Like, there ain't no way they could play with us." And then, we went up to Wisconsin, it's 21-zip in the
Mhm.
first quarter. So, I do think it's gonna at least be an opportunity, especially when you have a week off. It's gonna give them, the ability to really lock in, focus, and understand that, hey, y'all can be beat. Right? Whatever you think of yourselves, it doesn't matter on that field. You got to actually be able to execute and perform because there's teams like Indiana ain't the only one out there that can come out there and put together a good game and get the
Yeah.
win. So I think that's going to be important for this group for sure. All right, Buckeye Nation, let's keep it 100. The holiday season is busy. You got shopping, parties, flights to catch, and business still has to get done.
And somehow the world gets a little bit nasty. You got coughing, sneezing. You got kids running around passing germs left and right. That's why you got to stay locked in with Bleav vitamins.
Yeah, I take the Bleav vitamins. And the best part is that Bleav is made for the whole family. So everybody in the house can stay ready and everybody can stay healthy.
So whether you're closing deals, visiting family, friends, or just traveling or just out to eat with your family, keep Bleav vitamins as part of your routine.
Yeah, more energy, stronger immune system, no slowing down, and that's really the holiday flex. So head to Bleav.com and take care of yourself this season.
Use the code TEAMFAMILY for 25% off your first order, and that's Bleav.com. Stay healthy, stay locked in, and go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Yeah, now let's get into the nitty-gritty of it a little bit. Because obviously, I think if we won this game, we kind of so like, yeah, we're the best team in the nation. We beat Indiana again. Let's get ready for the playoffs. But since we lost, I know our fans and listeners are going to want us to really kind of like, let's take a look at how we lost. What did Indiana actually do well, better than expected, better than Ohio State for them to become victors? I think one thing was, it's several things we could point to, but I think you started already on the defensive backs. We did give up a couple shot plays at crucial times, basically early and often, obviously, in the ending game as well, them hitting on some shot plays against our DBs. When you had a chance to take a look at that, what was that? Was it just us losing one-on-ones? Was it technique? Was it what you got?
Yeah, we lost some key one-on-ones. The touchdown that was given up, the passing play to number 80. It's just man-to-man coverage, in that situation. I think even Joe Klatt said it. They need to do like a slot fade or something and try to get third or whoever a touchdown. I don't know if that was a pass to 80 or 13 at that point. Maybe it was 13. And they threw the slot fade. And we were in position. It was, a contested catch. And Indiana made a play. And Indiana knew going in, we got to make some of these plays. I mean, they got Jeremiah Smith, they got Cornell Tate. We got to do what we can to limit them, but we got to challenge them. And then on the flip side, we got to help our guys out by making plays on their defense. And that's what they did. You go to the end of the game, we're trying to get the last stop and get the ball back. Third down, they just throw the fade again. And another big play. The one I don't really like, and I don't put it on Lorenzo Styles, gave up before that touchdown was scored. He gave up a big pass, but he was a deep half safety. And because of the disguise, he was lined up at like 5 or 6 yards with 3 receivers.
Okay.
With 3 receivers. So he had to get back, get in position, and then beat that safety over the top. I just don't like it, right? We've praised Matt Patricia and his structure of the defense, his disguise, everybody playing fast, knowing what they're doing, etc. And they've done this before, and I haven't said anything about it, right? Because it's worked, right? But now, I don't like sacrificing coverage for disguise. I just don't like it. And I think that was really a scheme thing where they're trying to disguise coverage, but Mendoza, who's at this point a really good quarterback, can really identify what's going on out there. He just recognized it, and he had his guy in position on the explosive, was able to throw it out there. And Lorenzo Styles was in a tough position to actually make that play. That's a hard hard play to make, in my opinion. So that was it. I think the difference was those explosive plays. They had an explosive run as well, and then being able to cash in on one of them. They got the explosive, and then they had to take a shot, and they got the touchdown, and that was enough. They did enough offensively to put some pressure on Ohio State to have to match that, and you got to tip your hat to them for that.
Yeah, right. Essentially, when it came down to it, they got the job done. But obviously, when it come down to it, Indiana only scored 13 points. Obviously, like you say, they won. They won. Obviously, they won at some critical times. I think it was at late in the fourth quarter they hit a fade route, to kind of ice the game from that standpoint. And obviously they hit some throughout the game. They got a pass interference on one, scored a touchdown on a deep ball, essentially coming out the slot.
They scored that touchdown. I think that was their last points. Was in the third quarter. I think they scored that touchdown in the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken. Which means there was a lot. They got the 13 points. There was a lot of football left in order to win that game. So one of the big things to me is a Ryan Day offense is a 20-point or more offense.
Yeah.
Right?
On a bad day.
On a bad day. When they don't score 20 points, anything can happen. Right? Anything can happen. So from your perspective, because Indiana won the rushing, I think they had over 100 yards. Ohio State had like 58 yards. What happened there? Like what was the issue where just on our side, not being able to get anything going from a rushing standpoint? What was Indiana doing to really contain that or shut that down?
Yeah, so I think Indiana did, because like I said, when it really come down to it, we scored 10 points, they scored 13. We're not going to say our defense lost this game. We're going to say our offense lost this game. And then obviously we missed a field goal kick in there as well. A very bad time. And so special teams didn't help us out at all. But overall, in general, I feel like Indiana did a great job of essentially just really challenging us, right? They picked some spots that they felt like maybe we was lacking on the offense side of the ball, whether it was a player trying to block a guy in this technique, whether it was the way they was going to disguise their coverage and send pressure off the edge to see how Julian Sand handles it. If he could find the blitzer and find the hot route fast enough. And a lot of cases, he essentially could not. And so when you start looking at the Russian battle, Indiana does a great job, and they've been doing this essentially for 2 seasons. They just don't line up and play you straight on. A lot of times they're lined up in different ways, even though you're in the same formation. Just once again, it make you think, hey, okay, who do we have here? How are we identifying these guys? Who's the linebacker compared? Who's the defensive end? Who do we have here? And then at the snap, they move. they slant. They're not standing in the same spot. They're slanting in and slanting out. Indiana does a thing that's actually very unique. To, like I said, I rarely see this in a professional level, and in college level, I know Indiana, they've been doing it for a couple seasons, but if you watch Iowa and they play, they kind of do this as well. They would run blitz, where they would run tricks and games up front on their defensive line, whether we're talking about TT or TNs or whatever you want to call them, whoever's moving, but in the run games, in the known run situation, 1st and 10, second and medium, they run these stunts and kind of throw you off balance. And then when they do things like that, it's a gamble. Like if you knock it up, if you identify and you close it and you seal it up, you open up a huge lane. But if you do it successfully, you usually could get a D lineman very free into making a tackle, getting a hit on the running back early on, tackle for loss type of situation. And I think Indiana did a wonderful job at calling that game defensively and how they just essentially kept us off balance. We never got in any type of rhythm when it comes to the run game. Obviously, we did hit on some passes in certain situations, but when we needed it the most, they was able to be creative, throw something different at our offensive line, at our protection, at Julian Sand, and just kind of keep us off balance. And we just never got in rhythm for the day. And then even on top of that, when we did get in rhythm later in the game, obviously, we, like you stated, they scored the last points in the third quarter. We go on 2 very big drives from there. We go on a 12-play drive for 0 points. We go for them. If we get down there, we go to them on 4th down. Something happened. Julian Sands gets the snap. His knee hits the ground too early. We don't get it. Then we go for a 15-play drive. We get down into the red zone. We're not executing like we should. Maybe we should be doing a little bit more QB runs in these situations. when it's there, not called, but
Yeah.
as the play go on, put your foot in the ground and go get a yard for us, Junior saying, but then we miss a field goal kick. And then essentially that's the game from there. So, when we needed it the most, we got a little rhythm. We put on a drive, but we didn't execute enough to get points on the board. And that costs you when a team is that close and is playing that well as Indiana was.
Yeah, it almost felt like, when they say like, that team wanted it more.
Yeah.
I always struggle with that sometimes because it's like, I feel like both teams, in
Yeah.
most
Both
cases,
teams
both
showed
teams
up.
really, really want this win. But in this case, and I won't say that Indiana wanted it more, but I think they approached this game like they wanted it more. In that, the Michigan game all year was a focal point for Ohio State. Like,
Mhm.
all year, we're going to approach the game in a certain way, understanding that when we get to the Michigan game, we got to be able to run the ball. Right, we gotta be able to move the chains on third down. We gotta be able to do these things that we haven't done in previous years to be successful, right? And we ultimately did that, right? So now you're riding high, and then the next week, you go into the next week, you're dealing with recruiting, right? Brian Hartline gets a new gig. You're trying to call recruits. You're trying to make sure you keep the guys that you got for next year. Like, there's a lot of stuff happening in this week, right? There's a lot of stuff happening, and you just
Yeah.
beat Michigan, so you're feeling good, right? You're feeling good. Meanwhile, Indiana's blowing teams out.
Mhm.
You got to think like their focus point has got to be this championship. They're anticipating that we're going to play Ohio State. We lost to them last year, and people don't feel like we can play with them. We are going to have something for them. I'm not saying they drew up plays weeks prior. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but the attention to detail and the focus, I think, was a little bit different on the Indiana side than the Ohio State side. And I also want to add, man, they're defensively, they are more connected as a defense. I think Matt Patricia has done a good job of having a very connected defense. But I think we offensively and defensively, we really thrive on getting these one-on-one matchups, and you have elite players in these situations. Indiana, they work as a unit better than any team or as good as any team that I've ever seen. You talk about the defensive front and how they run the stunts, and they have to execute it really good, or they're going to open up a lane in the run game, and they execute it to the T. Where the landmarks are, where they need to hit a hole, et cetera, they do it, and they do it very connected. And in the coverage, that first interception, I
Yeah.
was confused on that first interception. I'm like, why is the middle? I even tweeted, why is the middle field safety jumping a curl route? Right? Oh, well, I went back and looked at it. They were in cover 2. Julian Sand thought that guy was going to the middle. I thought he was going to the middle. And once he turned his eyes off of him, that guy who clearly was prepared for that and saw his keys when it made that play. It was just a well executed defense. They've been well executed all year, and I think it speaks to they have a good group that's really been together since James Madison, honestly. And they've got some key players to add to that unit. So they're just going to be a force to deal with. And Ohio State has to get to 20. Listen, with Ryan Day calling plays, Jeremiah Smith, Cardinal Tate, and Bo Jackson, there's no reason. I don't care who we play against. I don't care if we line up against the Baltimore Ravens. I don't care if it's the New Orleans Saints, the Raiders. Like, we got to be able to put up 20 points versus a defense.
Yeah.
And then if we could put up 20 points, I Bleav in our defense, even with some mistakes, even with some explosive runs, even with a big pass that's contested, et cetera. I Bleav in our defense to be able to make sure that we get the win if that's the case.
Yeah, right. So obviously, and we missed a field goal, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, it's Fielding who missed the field goal, and I think it was a 27-yard field goal. So obviously, a very makeable field goal. And I mean, there's no other way to sugarcoat it. He shanked the kick, right? I mean, like he misses the kick pretty bad. And obviously, Jaden Fielding, he's been with us for a while. He's been kicking for Ohio State for many years, and we kind of been on the roller coaster of his leg here for a while, man. But I bring this. I hate to get into this. I'm not big on switching the guys out, and obviously Taker caught some heat, and we've been playing Gabe Van Sickle, and I don't know, man. Gabe brought something to the game. He brought something to the game. This real kick on game. Well, I'm on game,
Yeah.
but I got to just give him a shout out on this. Like, you know, a lot of times you hear this from time to time, like they talk about guys, offensive linemen. He's like, you know, when he gets his hands on the defender, they just kind of stop moving. He just kind of smother guys. And I seen Gabe, you know, do that a couple times this past weekend. It's like, man, it's rare to see, and it's kind of tough to explain. Like, you know, what do you mean? You just you hit the guy and stop moving. I don't know, but when you watch it, when you see it, you know what I'm saying. He get his hands into a spot where the D lineman is now so worried about fighting him up here. He's no longer rushing the quarterback because, you know, once again, he cannot move. But we got a kicker on our roster. We got a guy out of Ball State, Jackson Corville. He's an Ohio kid out of Dayton. I think he has a career long of in the 50s, 53. Last year he kicked 84% for Ball State, and also we got him out the portal. What you think, man? Should we still be on this roller coaster wave of Fielding, or
it's time, man. It's time, bro. Put him on there. Chip shot, field goal, deep field. I don't care. Put him out there and let the guy go kick, man. These guys kick field goals. If they can stick to their process and be consistent with their process, they hit the field goal. They could block out the noise and the moment and all the other things and stick to their process. They could do it. This guy has a history of being able to kick field goals. Put him out. What do we got to lose at this point? I mean, we're already losing games, right? Not a lot, but when it comes down to field goals, it's a risk. And it impacts the decision, right? Because now what happens when you're in that situation? It's 4th and 2. You get, if you kick a field goal, you tie, or do you go for it? I mean, we shouldn't even be having that discussion. Should we go for it? Like, no, let's tie the game up and go with this game. Why are we going for it when all you got to do is kick a chip shot field goal? I mean, it's unfortunate, man. It's tough, you know, especially in this day and age with social media, when a guy is in that spotlight and can't get the job done. Everybody's on him. But I do think it might be time to take him out of that spotlight and give another guy a try to see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because, like, you know, obviously it's more than a game at this point. Like, you know, we done seen this from Fielding before, where essentially, and obviously I don't got all the history of it, but it feels like when we really need one, it becomes less than, you know, the yards of the kick really don't matter. It's just kind of, you know, is he going to come through for us or not? And I guess we've been feeling that way for some years now. If we need it, if we're down, if it's in a crucial situation, are we actually going to get that 3? A lot of times it's just kind of tough to say. And then also, I mean, obviously, we hate to be on social media, but we are on social media. He's fighting with the fans in the stands, man, and things of that nature. I don't know if he's quite locked in the way we need him to be, you know, for this final push, man, for this final push that's needed. But real quick, let's talk about Indiana and Kirk Cignetti, man. Obviously, you know, I think he's a guy that I think he's just a likable guy, and we like him all for the same reason, because he's confident, he's funny, but he's smart, and he gets his team ready to play each game, week in and week out. What do you have to say about, I guess, Kirk Cignetti and the Indiana program as they're now Big Ten? I think they said this was the first time Indiana had been outright Big Ten champions since like the 40s, 1940, some crazy long time since it's been here. What do you got to say about that before we wrap here on this Big Ten and get ready for the playoffs?
There's no realistic argument that says Cignetti is not the best. I mean, you can line up a few coaches next to him, but you can't argue that he is not one of the top 2 or top 3 coaches in college football. I mean, you could say he hasn't won the championship, he hasn't done all these. He hasn't had the teams that can realistically do any of those things, right? So I take that out of it. I'm talking about bringing a group of guys together, being able to develop them, being able to bring them together to go max out what they possibly can do and have a coaching staff, et cetera. He's as good as anybody in college football, is without question. I said it last year, but, you know, now they've gone to another level. So he's a force to be reckoned with. And this win does a lot more for Indiana, right? It lets them know what they're capable of. Right? It just lets them know what they're capable of. So they're going to walk into these playoffs really believing that they can get this done. coming off this win. And I mean, I would like to meet him again in a championship. I don't know how the bracket is set up. Maybe it's
Oh,
a
it's lined up
semifinal.
for him. It's
Oh, is it?
lined up. It's lined up.
Yeah,
It's
so
lined up, man. So
I would like, obviously a lot of work to do to get there, and there's some things to fix. Red zone offense. Red zone offense has been a little bit of a challenge all year. That right guard position, there's been some inconsistencies. On
It's fine.
defense, that boundary run, man, they keep getting us with the numbers on that boundary run. It's really a numbers thing, man. You just don't have enough guys, and you got a corner trying to make a hit versus offensive lineman and trying to make the tackle. So they're gonna have to clean up some things. But all in all, I feel good. I mean, I feel good about this team. I think Julian Sang gets his first opportunity to feel some real distress, feel a ton of pressure, and he's gonna be better for it.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. That's for sure. So, Chim, man, it's a lot of stuff that happened this week. I'm feeling bonus show, man. We gotta get back on. We gotta warm up on the mic. We gotta get into a lot of things, man.
Real quick, was this game Mendoza's true Heisman moment, and does he secure the Heisman off of this game? What do you think?
I mean, it's a down year for the Heisman. I just feel like overall we never had that true dominant force for someone to say that they're the best player in college football. So because of that, I'm going to say this. I Bleav the Heisman should go to the person that's a finalist. So they made the announcement that you got Julian, you got Mendoza, you got Diego, and you got Jeremiah Love. Whoever got the best career, whoever had the best career, I Bleav deserves the Heisman for the 2025 season.
So, I don't know if I agree with that.
Man, I don't know.
I think it's the best team. I think the best team wins the Heisman. In this case, when we don't got no individual who rose above the fray, I think you just give it to the best team. And so real quick, if you go best career, who is that? Is that Diego?
If I look at best career, but it's still my statement's still debatable. So you gotta look at because Mendoza, he's coming out of Cal. He wasn't bad, right? He was a decent player. I mean, Diego has accomplished a lot. He actually beat Alabama. Out of the SEC, is not too many quarterbacks can say that. As an average, obviously Jeremiah has been a force for at least 2-3 seasons now at Notre Dame. So I mean, that's still debatable, but probably Diego if you kind of line everything up and what he meant for that program and all he did in his period of time there and with the levels he has risen them to. I think their first 10-win season and all those things of that nature, I think in history. I don't know, man. I don't know. It'll be a tough call. But, man, and more to come on that. We're going to bring you a bonus show. We got additional topics. We got Heisman. We got playoffs. We got Heartline. We have teams opting out of missing the playoffs, but then opting out of the bowl in general. That's a whole nother topic. I feel like it's great. But we're going to get to that. Follow us on all platforms, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Once again, this is Bleav in Buckeyes. The show is brought to you by FanDuel. We're still going to end this as always with a nice OH.
Yo.
Go Bucks. And no Buckeyes after a loss. He was waiting for it.
No Buckeyes.
Buckeyes out there. Yeah.
Go Bucks.